What's going on, YouTube? RDAP Dan here, Federal Prison Time Consulting. Hope you guys are all having a great day, great night. So we give everybody a few minutes here to join us. And as you can see, we're still talking about COVID-19 and compassionate release, everything that's going on with the Attorney General, sending people home. So we're trying to make this as simple as possible for all of you to fully follow and understand. Hey, Janky, how are you doing? Summer Deck, how are you doing? Also, just to kind of clear the air, I had an email from somebody today who was upset that I did not mention them on YouTube. They said that they're in my live chat, but I didn't mention their name. So they're wondering if these videos are really live or not. So just to be clear, if you're in the room and you're watching this video and you want me to mention your name, you have to actually say something in the chat or else I don't know that you're watching. So if you're just on here watching right now, it's not showing me who you are. I can see how many people are in the room, but I only see names of people that are interacting through the live chat. So just to be clear, okay, they were pretty upset. They told me they weren't going to watch my videos anymore because I didn't mention their name. So I apologize. What's up, Anthony Ganji, Tier Talk? Pat, how are you? Janky, who else we got in here? Kimberly, Alina, welcome, guys. All right, so I'm going to try to share my screen over here with the BOP's website. Many of you are, I can't even imagine what you guys must be going through right now. I'm so fortunate that when I was going through this, that we didn't have to deal with this. So this is an extremely, very tough time for a lot of you. I do want to share our consultation. So for those of you that want to get on a call with Tom Root, who is our legal expert that is helping a lot of our individual clients and new clients with the potential of compassionate release, I will post a link in here, which is right here. Let me grab this link. I'll post a link in the live chat, which I'm doing as we speak. There you go. Who can we contact to help our, so guys, if you're interested in getting potential compassionate release, I know the BOP is saying that they're automatically going to do this and that you don't need to request it, but let's see if you can see this screen. I'm going to try to share my screen with you here and see if it doesn't screw everything up. So you guys let me know if you can see the screen here in a second. It's the BOP's website, and I believe it's sharing it. Or it's not. Well, it looks like it's just sharing my own screen. So anyway, we'll come back to that. It doesn't seem to be working. Technology, still learning it. It's just showing you small screens of myself. If you go to the BOP's website, we'll just stop sharing. I'll go back to the regular video here. For those of you that are interested in qualifying, you have to understand that on the BOP's website, if you go to bop.gov, you can review their website. And it's basically saying right on there, it has home confinement. It tells you the prisons that they're focusing on right now. And I will post a link to it in the description of this video. But they're saying that you don't need to apply, that they're automatically going to reach out to you. And they have started sending people home. But I can tell you from the individuals that I've spoken to, that know individuals that have been sent home, a couple of prisons have already started sending people to home confinement. For the most part, we've only heard of elderly individuals that are at high risk, people that have respiratory problems, asthma, things of that nature. That doesn't mean that it's only available to the elderly. That's just kind of where the BOP's focus is going right now. So if you feel that you have a loved one that's in prison that has health issues, respiratory problems, I get it. Nobody should be in the prison system right now dealing with this because the prison is ill-equipped to properly handle this. But the reality is many of you are going to either be going into the prison system, or you have a loved one that is there that maybe is not in their 60s or 70s and maybe does not have necessarily have health problems or respiratory problems. These are individuals that are not necessarily going to qualify just because it's a high risk situation. Now, if you do have a loved one that's under the age of 60, 70 years old, but they do have health complications, or they do have asthma or other respiratory problems, or they're prone to get respiratory infections. These are individuals that, in our opinion and Tom Root's opinion, that could potentially qualify to be sent home to finish their sentence on home confinement. We've talked about this before, that technically you can only do 10% of your sentence on home confinement. So if you've got somebody with a 24-month sentence or a 30-month sentence, and they've still got a decent amount of time left prior to all of this, the most they could do is 10% of their sentence on home confinement, which would be a couple of months. Because of this, the BOP is now extending it to where individuals can do basically their whole entire sentence on home confinement. So we can start seeing individuals that are sentenced to home confinement. We can see individuals that are in prison that can be sent directly to home confinement from the prison system that do fall under these health risks. And right now, the prison is focusing on Elkton, Ohio. Here, let me go back and look at this list. I believe it was Danbury, Elkton, Ohio, and let's see here. Here it is. Let me see if I can copy this paragraph. Let's see if it will let me put this into the room here. This might be too big to share, but too much. So the prison is right now, the BOP is looking at factors described CDC, starting with inmates incarcerated at FCI Oakdale, FCI Danbury, FCI Elkton. Those are the three main prisons because that's where COVID-19 has really done its most damage. We're going to have some updates on our website, so make sure you stay up with our website, federalprisontime.com. We are going to put some direct links up there with how many inmates are infected, how many staff are infected, what the death rate is. This is very important information for you guys to stay up with, because if you have loved ones there, you need to know what the risk factors are. Also, we already know that commissary has been diminished. We know that phone time has been diminished. We know that how often they're able to get out of their units to make phone calls and emails. A lot of these guys are on 2 to 3 days a week now, where that's all they're allowed to use, phones and emails, for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours a day. Also, we know that other prisons haven't had any lockdown issues. They're still running like things are completely normal. Over in Taft, California, which Taft is 100% closing down, they started shipping inmates out. We have a couple of clients over there that are really afraid right now where they're going to go. They're going to go into some kind of a quarantine environment. So we're trying to help them already get prepared to potentially go into a home confinement type of a situation. Let's see what Pat said. Only elderly, 6 and more than 50% sentence complete. Well, that's what you're reading, or maybe that's what you've been told, but that's not necessarily true. There's many, and that's why I would love to get you on a consultation with Tom, because Tom can break this down and how this can be brought directly to a court, in many cases bypassing the BOP remedy altogether and going directly to the sentencing courts on how they can possibly still retain jurisdiction over this procedure right now. When there's something that is taking effect, that is taking a precedent like this, where we're talking of these severe natures, you do not necessarily have to go through the prison system first. It can go back in front of the sentencing judge. And this is what Tom is doing in many cases. So you really should take some time and have this consultation, because it can be very educational for what you're trying to do. It's not going to qualify. Not everybody's going to be qualified for this. So it's extremely important that you're not using this as some sort of a get out of jail free card, or saying, well, my loved one they get stomach aches, or, you have to have some documentation there. If you've got somebody that you're telling me has asthma and they've got other respiratory problems, you're going to need to have some documentation that will back this up. If it's just somebody that's been, they've had asthma, but they've never actually gotten diagnosed, they just get over the counter inhalers, it's probably not going to work, because how are you going to prove any of this? For those of you that do have individuals that can verify, and maybe these aren't elderly individuals, the BOP is going to move slow. They're going to make some releases. We don't think this is going to last forever. Once we get this under control and we come in off of these lockdowns and the pandemic starts to slow down, we'll probably see a lot of this being pulled back. So this window of opportunity to get loved one homes to home confinement that are at risk, we don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know how much the BOP might or may not try to minimize this. We know that it's extremely serious. Many prisons are a complete lockdown right now. We've spoke to other inmates who haven't been able to make phone calls. So there's definitely a lot of stress and a lot of uncertainty. The BOP is not prepared for this, just like the United States is not prepared for this. You look at the hospitals in New York and other major populated areas where you have high populations in different major cities. And if they're not prepared for this and they don't have the proper equipment and the proper ventilators and the equipment for the staff, then we know the prison system doesn't either. So you're really going to have to use your own judgment call on here and say, am I just going to wait for the BOP to maybe send my loved one home? I get it. Not everybody's going to be able to afford the cost of hiring a professional or an advocate to walk them through these steps, but you're going to need to really be able to advocate for yourself in order to create the awareness to put your person or your loved one out onto Front Street in order to create the urgency to get them home as soon as possible, to put them into a safe environment. We don't think it's going to happen. Think of the thousands of inmates that are in the prison system and the amount of people that are being let go. We're talking a few people here and there every week that are being let go throughout the entire BOP nationwide. There's so many more people that need to be released. Really, all nonviolent first-time offenders, not even first-time offenders, all nonviolent offenders that do not pose a risk to society should be released from prison. They don't have a plan in place. And part of what they want you to do in order to release from prison to home confinement is they want you to create an action plan, a plan of what you plan on doing. What's your plan? So having an advocate that can help you create that, illustrate what it is that your concerns are, really showcase any medical records, put this into the form of a proper motion. All of this can help the advocacy for this, the assistance for this is there. This is why we highly suggest creating a consultation with Tom Root. I'm not the expert on this. I just happen to be in the industry and I see the need for it. I see the emails coming in by the dozens every single day. More and more people are adding us to core links on a regular basis, reaching out for help, wanting to know what they can do. There seems to be a lot of mixed emotion, a lot of mixed signals. We've seen attorneys that are giving, I don't want to say bad advice, but they're giving very, very cookie cutter advice to where it's not necessarily completely accurate. So, so as you see, Bajo 013, that's one of our clients. So she's talking about Joaquin Ramirez, who Joaquin was actually a client of ours prior to all of this going through the pretrial phase. And now they become an additional client on the other side of potential looking for home compassionate release, getting into home confinement. So when, like Pat, you're saying the BOP doesn't care. I wouldn't say it's that the BOP doesn't care. I do believe that they care. I mean, they're putting warnings up on their website. They're giving people the necessities and the tools. The problem is it takes more than just that. Sorry, I hit the mute button by accident there. It's much deeper than just, do they care or do they not care? It's unprepared. This is hitting everybody by surprise. So I urge you to take this really serious and not just wait for the Bureau of Prisons to reach out to your loved one in the BOP. We know they're going to start focusing to the best of their abilities on elderly, specifically elderly with issues of whether it's respiratory problems, other health hazards that if they were to contract the COVID-19, that it could really wear and tear on their immune system to the possibility where we've already seen, I don't know what the actual count is. I didn't check it today, but we know it's 5 or 6 people have already died from the COVID-19 and dozens and dozens have been diagnosed. That number is only going to grow when you have people in a confined area. We're seeing the number grow throughout this entire country and the entire world on a daily basis with no real idea of when this is going to slow down. Is it going to be May? Is it going to be June? Is it going to be July, August? The longer this thing goes on, the more drastic of the pressure that it's going to create on the system to create a plan of action without the proper necessity, the proper tools, the proper planning. We've lived in a country for most of our lives where we've never really had to worry about anything like this. We've been able to go out to the stores and go out. You're able to make a doctor's appointment when you want. You can go to the store and buy toilet paper when you want. And now we're in a situation to where resources are limited. There's not enough supply for the demand. You have issues that the problem is the demand here is if the supplies are not met, the demand is people are potentially going to die. So the BOP doesn't want that on their conscience. They don't want that potentially to be sued over this. So they're going to take every precaution possible right now to, who cares what the reason is, whether they don't want to be sued or they're doing it out of the kindness of their heart. We don't care what the rhyme or reason is. We care about the end result. And we can help you facilitate the end result by being an advocate for you, creating the need, being the voice, putting your words onto paper where it can make a very, very compelling story as to why a sentencing judge or Bureau of Prisons should consider you or your loved one for potential compassionate release. You just have to realize that there's cost associated to anything. Whenever there's a service involved, this is a service that is in high demand. Many people are reaching out to us on a regular basis. We can't help everybody. Not everybody qualifies within some sort of a standard. We agree that nobody should be in the system. Nobody should be there being at risk at being near this, contracting this disease. We realize that it's beyond that. So what we have to focus on is, okay, what can we do to help minimize some of the casualty here? What we can do to help minimize that is those of you that do have respiratory problems, those of you do have health problems that can show some documentation, whether it's prior to going to prison, whether you have documentation while you're in prison right now, maybe you've seen a doctor, maybe they've diagnosed you with something. As much proof as you can get to provide back to us is something that can help assist getting you this relief to bring a loved one home. It's a shame that it took this for the BOP to send people home. Clearly, they're realizing that these are nonviolent offenders that didn't need to be there to begin with, or else they could have sent them home to home confinement a long time ago, where they could start providing to society again. They start paying taxes. They could start making amends, start paying restitution. Prison doesn't really help. I get it. People need to be punished. Most of us that have been through some sort of a pretrial phase, that is a punishment. And I know others that have never experienced that went straight to jail, think that pretrial is some kind of like, well, you're out there, at least you're free. But many of us know that have gone through it, that the mental prison you're in, waiting for the next step of what's going to happen with probation, my attorney, what's the judge going to say? What are my friends going to say? How do I tell my kids? That is a whole nother type of prison in itself. The other thing I really want to focus on right now, those of you that are on pretrial, pay attention. I'm talking to you right now. Those of you that are on pretrial, that your court dates are being pushed off. You've got time. You're not going to get sentenced anytime soon. You're thinking maybe I'll just get, home confinement. Courts are backed up. There's a good chance that this will be backed up so long that by the time you get sentenced, this will have come and gone, which means we're going to be back to normal at some point. This is a prime time for you to really, really crack down right now and take full possibility of all of what you can be doing. Take the fact that you have time to really focus on what you're doing with your free time right now. You're going to get sentenced at some point. When we talk to many of the individuals that were, hey, I need to get help right now, they're like, well, my attorney told me I've got months and months and months. The court dates are backed up. I'm not going to get sentenced anytime soon. It's almost like out of sight, out of mind. Everybody's gone into relax mode. They're hoping this COVID-19 lasts forever and ever so they never get sentenced. Your sentencing day will come, and the preparation you put in now is going to yield the result down the road. There's many individuals that wish they had months and months of preparation, because it's not just preparing for what prison's going to be like. It's preparing for right now what you can do to mitigate, to reduce your sentence, possibly get a probated sentence, look for a home confinement type of a sentence. And once the COVID-19 passes and courts resume, you don't want to go back in front of a judge and say, well, I've had months and months and months because of this extension, and I've done really nothing other than sit in my ass waiting for this to pass. What are you doing right now to create a reason for that judge to want to give you home confinement or a probated sentence down the road? What are you doing different right now than what everybody else is doing? Take this time. I'm happy you don't have to go into prison right now, and I'm happy you're getting some extra time with your family, but use this time wisely. How can you create the best possible outcome for yourself right now going through this? It's not just being grateful that you don't have to go and using this as a break or like an extended vacation prior to getting sentenced. It is going to come up sooner than you think. Don't get caught by surprise. Take root of what you need to do right now and realize that this, whatever it is we're going through, will come to an end at some point. We've been burning the candle here over at Federal Prison Time Consulting. It's been 24 hours a day, calls nonstop, appointments. And the funny thing is nobody's making appointments for preparation for what it's going to be like getting ready to go into the prison system, because they're all on vacation right now, not taking it serious. So I highly suggest that you take this serious. Don't get too relaxed right now. Realize that this will come to an end. And if you're not prepared, you're going to get sentenced, and you're going to think back about all of these months that you had and what you could have done different. I understand finances are in a bind for everybody. A lot of you are either unemployed, or even your businesses are slower now. Your income is slowed down. You're dealing with a ton of different issues that we never thought we were going to have to deal with, but you got to find time to put into your preparation phase of what will happen down the road if you don't prepare now. Dan, what if my state is on lockdown? What does that mean? Cost? What are you referring to? Or what do you mean? What if your state is on lockdown? They also have a problem with the halfway house because some of them don't feel sure to accept inmates. And that's another point. It's hard to get into a halfway house right now because a lot of halfway houses are potentially under COVID-19. They've got inmates that are inmates. They've got residents that have already showed potential signs of it. So how do you bring people into that environment? So we're dealing with, like, those of you that are trying to get extra halfway house that are already in prison, halfway houses may not be open in a couple of months. So home confinement may be an only option for everybody. So this could work out to some individuals' benefits, but at the same time, it could cause a huge bottleneck effect. And this window of opportunity may not be open for very long. They're going to get to a point where they're going to have to figure out how they're going to handle this, and they can't just release everybody. There's going to be a limit on what they can do. So if you want to be one of the first to have the best opportunity of getting this approved for yourself, again, here's a link one more time. It's also in the description of this. Oops, that's not the link. The link is, let me go back in here and grab it. You got to realize that once this opportunity passes, you're going to be at the mercy of whoever they decide to let go when they decide to let them go. Consultation. So if you want to get on a call with Tom, again, here's that link. Trying to do what we can to give everybody an opportunity to see what they can qualify for. Cosman, you're saying we're not allowed to leave the home. We have a stay. Okay, I'm in Florida, and we don't have a lockdown in Florida. We're recommended to stay home. I see people out walking, riding their bike. I haven't seen anybody get arrested yet in Florida. You shouldn't be out if you don't need to be out, but that doesn't mean, there's still areas that need help. There's still volunteer work to be, delivering food to the elderly. Trust me when I tell you, the Boys and Girls Club, there's still a lot of, I do some stuff for a company called Fit Food Fresh, who right now is that they create healthy meals, provide healthy meals throughout South Florida. And they're donating 1,000 meals a week right now to the needy, whether it's homeless, the elderly. They need people to pick up this food, to go drive this food. There are lots that you can do right now. So Florida's not on a actual lockdown. We're going to come and arrest you. If you are on a state that has, we see outside, basically shoot on sight type of a state, it doesn't mean that you can't prepare. You just have to kind of recondition what that means. What can you be doing? The coaching with Jenny, the mindset coaching, creating an action plan, showing the judge that you're doing something, not excuses. The judge says, what have you done with your time? Well, Your Honor, we've been on lockdown. Okay. The judge might go, yes, so have you and the other 6 million people. However, these 3 or 4 people that I spoke to, this is what they did while they were on lockdown. We know a lot of these schools have moved to, Google Classrooms. You could be contacting schools. Right now, every school is doing either through Zoom, right now we're using Zoom, right? A lot of schools are doing Zoom or other types of platforms to conduct their classes, reaching out to schools and saying, hey, I just took a plea deal. I'm now a convicted felon. I'm looking at a prison sentence. These are the mistakes that I made. I'd love to come enter your classroom virtually through, an invite through Zoom and talk about choices and decisions of what I could have done differently and how I can share my story with somebody else to hopefully they don't make the same mistakes that I made. Maybe something that I'm talking about right now will resonate in them when they're forced with a fork in the road, go left, go to prison, go right. Maybe it's a harder choice in that moment, but it doesn't lead to prison. So don't allow your circumstances currently to create an excuse for you to not put in the effort to do what's necessary. Because trust me, the judges are used to excuses and people always look for a reason not to do something. Being on lockdown is not a reason to be proactive. I've been more active in these last month and a half than I've been probably in the last 2 or 3 years of my life. Physically, mentally, I'm realizing that I was in prison. I was in an environment where I was told what to do, where I was locked down for certain parts of the day, where I didn't have access to the free world. This is no different. This is a little taste of what everybody in prison deals with on a regular basis. So be grateful that we're all going through this together. It's scary. It's new. It's uncharted territory for many of us. But if we stick together and we focus on what we can do to be part of the problem and not focus so much on the solution, we can get through this together and come out the other side. And you can go in front of that sentencing judge and show how you're different than the other people that did nothing, just sat there locked in their house. So be proactive. Think outside of the box. Don't allow yourself to hit these stumbling roadblocks and create them as these massive walls that can't be overcame. Let's read some comments. Lawyers are complete useless with the BOP. Don't waste money. RDAP is now more available and is very good, but sometimes the BOP don't give the inmate 12 months. Pat, RDAP is really tough right now for the fact that most prisons are locked down on classes. So inmates that are in prison that have 24 to 36 month sentences, 37, maybe 40 months, a lot of them may not even be able to do RDAP because depending on how long this is shut down, a lot of these prisons are not running classes. So you won't be able to do RDAP to get the time off. I mean, we're really going through a cluster of hurdles and roadblocks that we really have to all work together and navigate. This is uncharted territory for us as well, diving into this world of compassionate release for all these individuals that now qualify that wouldn't have qualified, 30 days ago. It's creating an element of surprise that we're trying to understand and mold into a roadmap to give you the best opportunity for it to be effective for you and your family, to not be put at risk to a disease that's being spread through the prison like wildfire right now. It's being spread everywhere. Even being at home is risky. Breathing air, every time you turn around, you turn on the news right now, it's COVID-19, COVID-19, COVID-19. They're in a race to make cures. They're in a race for a vaccine. They're trying to get people tested. There's just no way the BOP is going to be able to keep up with this unless they start sending people home and putting it at your own. Like if you go home, it's now on you to go get the help. The BOP is not required to help you because you're at home. So take advantage of this. Get yourself out of prison to put yourself into a safe environment and allow us here at Federal Prison Time to advocate for you. So it does create that best opportunity, and just realizing that we are navigating the waters, no different than you, except we have a team of experts that are likely to create a better roadmap than what you'd create on your own. That's really, really the difference, and that's what you'd be paying for. My daughter is in Plain State Jail, and they are not on lockdown, but they are giving her max and fresh clothes. Not everyone gets that. So, some prisons are handling it better than others. I imagine a lot of the smaller places, the little counties, they're probably able to deal with this in a much more efficient manner than the BOP is right now, because they're waiting for directive from almost a single unit to spread out to how everybody should be uniformly handling this. It's a little sketchy. You just don't know what to expect right now. So those of you that are going through this and you're handling this, God bless you. I'm thankful that I'm through this and out on the other side. But I do not like seeing you guys go through this. And I don't like seeing, it's like living in a third world country right now. You walk down the streets and everybody's got a mask on. We're probably never going to go back to a day and time where we shake hands again. You're probably always going to see people wearing masks after this. I think the level of awareness is going to be so high, even years to come after this, decades after this, people are going to remember this. and they're going to be going through a very, very specific manner of something that they didn't do in the past. Any plans on collaboration with Tier Talk on this subject? Absolutely. Me and Anthony spoke about a few things. Anthony's always welcome. I've gone on Anthony's channel. We're supposed to have him on this channel. We want to try to catch up with Anthony to do a few things. I'm sure he's got some great opinions on this. And from his side, on the state side, I'm sure he's seeing similar situations. We know that the prison systems want to deal with this, but they have to get directive from somebody as what to do. They can't just make a decision. They have to wait for directive to come down from the chain of command so they know what to do next. And right now it's still being figured out. A roadmap is still being discussed and drawn out. And every day we log into onto the BOP's website, or you turn on the news, you're hearing something, how it's shifting just a little bit. Whatever was happening last week isn't necessarily happening now. Things are changing rapidly. We have to be willing to go with the flow, but we do know that many of you should not be in the prison system. Many of you are at higher risk than others. Those are the individuals we want to focus on first, whether it's based on age or whether it's based on whatever respiratory problems, immune problems that you're having. We want to be able to focus on you as quick as possible to help get you the help that you need before it becomes too late and somebody becomes another casualty that could have gotten the help. So anyway, that's what I got for you guys. Look, use the link. Again, the link is right here. Book a consultation. We have the consultation set up Monday through Friday. We've created a little bit of time in there to give Tom a break. I think we even have some time slots open on Saturday. Use the link. It's going to fill up fast. If there's nothing available for this week, put yourself on the link for next week. If it's an emergency, my phone number is in the description of this video. You can always shoot me a text. We want to do this as uniformed as possible. Don't call if you're just like, hey, my loved one shouldn't be at prison, or I don't think it's safe for them to be there because it's not right. I get that. I understand. And I do not disagree with you. But if you don't have some kind of a reason beyond it's not right that they're susceptible to COVID-19, beyond that, we need to be able to show the BOP something. We need to be able to show that they have some kind of an immune problem, that they would be at high risk to catch this disease and have a problem fighting this disease off. If you have it documented, that much better. So use the link, guys. Make yourself a consultation. Let us try to help you. We are probably one of the few consultants out here that are going to tell you how it really is. We're not going to promise you something that can't be done. As a matter of fact, we're not going to promise you anything other than we're going to do what we can do. We know there is zero guarantee that you're going to go to home confinement. There's nothing anybody can do that is going to make them do anything. The BOP can say no. The sentencing judge can say no. At the end of the day, our job, your job, is to create as much influence as possible, to create the objective, to put it down, to create a game plan, to put your plan into action, and to show why you are an exceptional candidate for this program. Beyond that, it's out of our control. We can only control the narrative to an extent, and then we have to release and let go. And you have to be willing to accept the reality, whether it be good or bad. That result is great, you're going to home confinement, or that result is nope, you're not going nowhere. At least you know you made your best effort attempt. And that's all that you can do. And making an effort attempt without knowing what you're doing, it's going in unprepared, unmanned, unarmed, very much taking a risk that has not a calculated risk at all. If your risk is calculated, then it's a valued risk. If your risk is uncalculated and you're swinging from the fence, you're not taking this serious at all. So you only cover federal prison issues. Alma, we don't only, obviously this channel is dedicated to the federal prison system because that's the majority of who reaches out to us. But feel free to book a consultation. We also do help clients that are state clients as well. It's not as uniformed as the BOP. No matter what state you're in the BOP, things are almost identically very similar. What you're referring to in the state, we can look into your situation and give you a free consultation and determine if there's anything that can be done. But to answer your question, we do have many clients that were state clients. It's just the majority of them clearly are federal defendants. Casey Parker also, oh, hey, Casey, what's going on, my man? Also a great time to do things to shed a good light. Exactly what Casey just said. You have all this extra time right now. If you're on pre-trial, what are you doing with your time to create influence with your sentencing judge? Using an excuse as, well, I couldn't do anything because I was on lockdown. No, no, no. Don't let that be your excuse. That's my condescending voice. That's my I told you so voice. That's a little voice you're going to hear in your mind when the judge says, well, what have you done? I was on lockdown, judge. You might get the Larry David. You get that look, you're screwed. Don't leave it up. I mean, there's always going to be chance and there's always going to be what they decide to do, but take as much control and influence the outcome as much as possible. Don't manipulate it. Don't make shit up. Don't lie. Put in the work, put in the effort, make the change that you want to see, change who you are, change how you feel, do things for the right reason. You've heard me say it a million times, do things for the right reason. Everything starts falling in place. Have an extension on my self-surrender and where did it go? Oh, Lisa, I was reading your statement and you deleted it. Damn it, Lisa. Sounded like a good one. You're welcome, Alma. They released 50 inmates today from the Chicago halfway house sent to home confinement. Yeah, that's happening. And what the scary thing is about that is many of these halfway houses are going to start closing down. So they're kicking them out the door, but they're not going to be bringing more in. So these inmates that are they're going to need to go straight from prison to home confinement in these situations. So a lot of these prison staff are used to reaching out to the halfway houses, getting halfway house dates for time. Everything is changing right now as we know it day by day. That's the second time I've heard that, where federal halfway houses are kicking people right out of the prison or kicking people right out of the halfway house straight to home confinement. Not everybody has a home to go to. What are we going to do about the homeless? Where are they going to go? They're not going to send you from prison to a shelter. So if you're an inmate in prison that maybe doesn't have a home to go to, maybe you've got money and no home. There's a lot of situations out there where it's not this perfect round hole for a round peg. We have to figure out how to work with this situation and advocate properly so you don't get to the finish line just to realize that you didn't dot your I or cross your T properly and you get sent back to go back to the beginning and start over. It's got to be structured properly. You've got to have somebody on your team that can foresee the problems before they even arise. And that's us and Tom Root as a nice powerhouse team working with your attorney in many cases. Casey, what Jenny did with me helped me in many ways. The U.S. attorney had it out for me. The judge stepped in and was more lenient, and I was not taken into custody 2 times already. So Casey, as you can see, is one of our clients. He employed us for the full gamut, including the coaching sessions with Jenny, the mindset coaching, which creates a document that's given to your judge that can be used when that's given to your attorney, that can be used on the sentencing memorandum to really illustrate to the judge the final statement to the judge of what you've done with your time, to show how you've prepared differently than the average person. So don't take this too lightly. Prison consultant's job is not how to prepare for your first couple of days of prison. Sure, we touch on it, but really it's how to advocate early on, how to mitigate your sentence so you could potentially get the best sentence in addition to what your attorney is doing for you. You need to be having all of your parts moving in the same direction at the same time together. Otherwise, everybody's going in a different direction. You just rip yourself apart and you end up more frustrated than you were prior to all of this starting. My cousin is FCI Elkton. See, FCI Elkton, if you're there, there's a good chance you might be going. Has asthma, listed as chronic care prison, but he has, state detainer. Yeah, see, you got individuals like this. What do they do with those types of individuals? What's going to be the fix for somebody like that? The fix for that, maybe we talk to Tom, find a way to get this detainer lifted or get this detainer taken care of right away. There's usually more than one way to skin a cat, and you're not going to figure it out just by sitting there spinning your wheels. Take the time, invest your time, do what's what. Time is money. The less time you can spend on trying to figure out the solution and going directly to the source for the solution and spend a little to get that to happen faster and expedite things can create that outcome. So I'm not going to waste any more of your guys' time. I'm exhausted. It's 11 something. We've been going now a little longer than I anticipated. Tomorrow's just going to be back at it, dude. We are grinding. We are getting into this for you guys. literally got our sleeves rolled up. I've even got road rash from this. I'm just kidding. I fell off my bike because I don't know how to ride a bike. But guys, we are here to help. I'm on quarantine too. I'm locked in my house. I got nothing to do but sit around and stare at documents all day, study cases, what worked for somebody else, how we could try to work that into your situation, and realizing that one day at a time, people helping people, community is method. That's it. We're here to make a difference. So guys, I hope you found value in this content. As always, I love you guys. I really do. I hate that you're going through this. Share something with your family. Get out and do something. Don't allow yourself just to sit inside of a locked house thinking, well, I don't need to do anything because I'm not allowed to do anything. Create your environment. Be a creator. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem. That's all I got for you guys. Hope you stay safe. I'll be back on in a couple of days. I'm sure I'll have some more updates. And until then, wash your mother hands. Keep them clean. Don't spread the disease. Peace, guys. Love you all. Later.